call the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia on Monday, August 23rd, 2021 to order. So first we'll go through the regular business meeting. We have the invocation by Mr. D.A. Williams and Dr. Alexis Williams.
Yes, it'll, at the invitation, it'll actually just be Mr. Williams, not his lovely wife.
Okay. And then they're doing the pledge as well?
Yes.
So they're ambidextrous.
Yeah.
And then we have a proclamation for Constitution Week that I'll read, and Nancy Vaughn should be here. This was requested from the Philadelphia Wind Chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution. We've done it before.
So she wanted it today, not next month? Right?
Yes, I think they're trying to gather up, they're trying to get a lot of cities and counties to pass the proclamation, and then they're going to do something during that week.
I was all ready to go through with my teacher tips of things you don't know about the Constitution, and I'm like, well, that's next month, so I'll just do it next month.
Okay. And then, has everybody met Matt?
No, who?
Yes.
So it's his first day, and he's made it through the first day, and hopefully he'll make it through the first council meeting. Hasn't quit yet, so that's good news.
Who's in charge of the pie in the face?
That's Todd this time.
Oh,
Then we have the minutes, we have, and then is Dr. Williams going to come back up and under invited guests?
yes. And his wife.
Okay.
No, Mr. Williams and Dr. Yeah.
That's right. His wife is a
So
doctor.
Mr. Williams is not a doctor, but Mrs.
Mrs.
Williams is
Dr.
a
Williams
doctor,
is
so
a-
that's doctor. Yeah.
Hello, doctor.
And this is
Doctor,
Mr.
doctor.
It's the Mr. and Doctor, yes.
Nothing wrong with
Yes.
Okay, so then under new business, we've got the multi-purpose trail bid award. Any questions?
It was two qualified bidders, and Triscapes was the lowest at $606,367. We have a $385,000 grant plus SPLOST money to cover that $606,000. And this will take us in front of the Baptist Church, and turning south will connect us to Briscoe Park.
And projected construction?
Construction cost.
Yeah, but when are they projecting they're gonna start?
A month from now. As soon as when the award's done, we'll set up a pre-con and get going.
Do they have how long it'll take?
Probably 9 months. We hope faster. We have one utility issue, so, but everything, the school system and First Baptist have been good to work with. So.
Okay, and then we have the annual resurfacing and paving bid to award tonight.
That is Snell, was once again the low bidder after being gone for a year. That number is about $695,000. We budgeted $750, $552 from SPLOST, $198 from LMIG, so we have a little left over for tie-ins and if something should come up.
If we finish the four listed, does that mean we'll drop down to the alternates?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I had a question from a neighbor in that community today about the speed humps. I know in the past, Gwinnett County either comes in and removes them before it's paved, or they mill the edge of them, and then any idea which?
Yeah, I've already contacted the new, Brent Hodges used to be responsible for the speed hump program, and the new contact, I went ahead and gave her a heads up, said Summit Chase Drive was gonna be paved, and that, because we did the same thing on Creekwood, where we basically just milled up to it at that point if they're not gonna do maintenance, and then.
Okay.
So
evidently there was some issue with a couple of them, but
Yeah, there's one
The one
especially.
right after Timberline.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, if you don't do anything else, I said, that pine tree is taking.
Oh, good Lord, yeah.
That whole
Yeah.
Yeah.
side of that speed hump there, so.
but you were
She
probably
was
talking
gonna-
about the one back towards 78?
No, I was talking about that one,
Lumber.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went ahead and made her aware that we were gonna be paving that, Summit Chase Drive this year. That if they could do maintenance, that would be great.
Awesome. I'll let the neighborhood know. And then they'll call you every 3 weeks to see when it's gonna be done.
Be ready.
Yeah.
He's a regular.
And then we're surplusing a whole bunch of computers in the police department. Okay, so the last thing we need to talk about for the meeting tonight is a resolution for the package sale.
Solange and
Of alcohol.
Christie's, two there for you all,
I would
Todd.
prefer we not do that.
So here's the issue.
Okay.
Melissa has to do the ballots, the final approval on the ballots is tomorrow. So we need to know, she needs direction on whether that goes on the ballot or not. So we almost missed it. I just happened to say something to her Friday when I was in here. So we almost missed getting it put on the ballot. All of this would do is, this is gonna allow us to put it on the ballot. The actual call will come, they've got the dates worked
Yeah,
out
well,
now.
Melissa and I are gonna talk about that. My understanding, the way it has to work is, we have to have the call of the referendum has to occur no earlier than 10 days, but no later than 60 days from the date we take the action, which would be tonight. Then, the election can take place no more than 60 days after the call is made. And then we also have to advertise the 2 weeks before the election that the referendum question is on there. I think that's correct, is that? That's our
It's
reading.
different from a normal special election, because it falls, that's why I was asking y'all.
So, we're pretty sure, we're pretty confident. We're pretty confident. Jane and I are pretty
Double
confident.
check.
And I'm
I
pretty
warned them
confident.
that we've had an attorney in the past who couldn't count days, so.
We're pretty confident we got that right, so, but I did want to just, Melissa and I kind of make sure we're on the same page on everything.
Okay, so knowing about the ballot issue tomorrow, your objection?
The plan was to make sure that we had our ordinances in place and we knew where we were going with this before we called it. And I think that's important. So
Well,
we don't
no,
end
no,
up
I agree.
with the same issues that Grayson and Loganville had, so I would prefer to put it off to a future time, personally.
Then we'll have, if you, my plan was to have all of that done, all of those issues worked out before the actual election day voting, so that people will know what they're voting for.
Well,
I don't know that it has to come before we decide to put it on the ballot.
I
But-
think it's important just to make sure that we cover ourselves, because there's been so many bad experiences, and I have an issue with the fact that this wasn't advertised, wasn't on our agenda, and it's a pretty big issue. So it would come out of left field. So I know it means we'll probably have to put it off for a while, but I would prefer to do that personally, but.
So anybody else? That's one view?
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable acting on it so quickly. I'd like to really kind of explore what it is that we're gonna do as a city with our zoning. I would hate in awarding the possible.
And I know we have from now until November 2nd, and even after that.
We actually have until after that, because
Right.
even if we didn't have all of those rules in place by the time people voted on it, I mean, it could get voted down. People might
Well,
choose not to have it, and then there's no issue.
That's true, but to ask people to make that decision without them having full knowledge of where
Boundaries.
it could be, how many, that sort of stuff. So I think it's incumbent on us to make sure we have if we're gonna put that before the public, we know exactly what it is. And that's what I was talking about back in May and back in June, and we don't have that. And I understand not spending all that money to do all that beforehand, but I still think it's smarter to have, so the public knows exactly what they're gonna vote on.
So consensus is not to put it on the ballot in November.
I'm a no.
I'm gonna,
I got to just wait and make sure that everything is in place before we do this.
Okay, so then it'll wait 2 years till the next election, or we'll do a special election.
We can do a special.
Yeah, it's just,
I mean, if it's like, we can do it, but is it cheap? No.
I mean, it costs money, it's expensive, and it's,
Snap your finger.
yeah.
There's a lot to it.
That's the part that.
Because then you've got now, 4 weeks of early voting and poll workers
And Saturday
and everything.
voting.
It's Saturday and Sunday voting, so.
Training and anyway, yeah, okay.
And there'll be another legislative session before then, so probably get some more changes.
could be.
Okay. Well, that makes that easy.
Yeah.
Well, in that regard, I think we need our legal representative to guide us, because you know what lawsuits come.
Well,
Right, well,
yeah, and that's
It doesn't matter, a lawsuit's coming.
right, when it comes to the,
well, and honestly, it probably will, but I know Jay and Chuck are looking to the jurisdictions that have done this without being sued. And
Is there
hopefully,
one?
is there, yeah.
Yeah, actually Grayson didn't get sued.
Okay.
Grayson
They were
actually didn't get sued.
investigated,
They were
but they weren't
investigated, they
sued.
didn't get sued.
Well, that's so much
Well, I
better.
think a lot of that too is because a private entity put all the money into
Right,
getting that.
Right.
With this, you wouldn't have that.
Right.
so.
but yeah, and I mean, I agree 100% that before people start voting for it, we need to at least have the number that we're gonna allow, where they might be, those things together. But my view is, we don't need to know that to have it on the ballot. But we don't need that information to have it on the ballot, as long as we have that information before people start voting.
And I would agree with you, but with our past history of liquor and votes on liquor in the city, and this, again, having not been on this agenda, not been advertised, on top of everything else, causes me great concern.
Okay? So we have 3 against, so we will not be amending the agenda for that. That keeps that part easy. That's the regular meeting. Any other questions on the regular meeting? All right, any correspondence?
No, ma'am.
I wanted to let y'all know, I'll forward this email to you. I did get an email from Rosebud Elementary.
Oh, yes, I got it.
Oh, did everybody
For
get
the
it?
playground?
For
I
the
did not.
playground.
I did not.
Yes.
Then I'll forward it to everybody, but I'm gonna respond back that we can't contribute money as the city. But I was gonna just share that with all of you in case you wanted to put it out, if you knew of anybody else that might wanna contribute, but, we
So
can't
what
do
was the
that.
ask?
I'm sorry, they got a grant to put in a new playground, 15,000, and it must come with some matching, so they're trying to do fundraising to do matching funds, and they were wondering if the city would contribute.
I guess it could have gone to spam, but I didn't see it. Usually spam kicks a thing to my forwarded email. They may just know I'm poor.
Yeah, I just got this in my email.
But I just wanted to let y'all know about it, that I was gonna respond. Okay, city attorney's report?
so, let's see what all we have. The property at 3190 Grand Central, we've been moving forward for abatement, but we were just waiting on the title report to come back to make sure that we've got all the proper parties. It appears that there had been some liens at some time on the property, and so when I was doing the background research, those showed up. So we're doing a full title search to make sure we get all the right parties on there. On the 2468 Mountain View property, that has a return to court date on Wednesday, which I had told them I was willing to continue if things were moving forward on the eviction and they had kept the property up. However, the next door neighbor sent me a bevy of photographs showing that although the yard had been mowed, none of the growth on the side of the house had been taken care of, and they had not, the growth on the fences hadn't been cleared. So, and the attorney is now not responding to my emails or calls, so they'll be appearing on Wednesday unless I get a good phone call tomorrow. Let's see, and the other, I think everyone was aware, the Planning Commission has been postponed from tomorrow based on the issue regarding the property at, I think it's called Scenic Point LLC is the applicant. That's the property located at North Road and 124. And what the issue there was, we had received a letter from Commissioner Watkins indicating that the property had previously been rezoned, or been up for rezoning and denied, and that they were reiterating that there's a 12-month waiting period absent a waiver in Gwinnett County. We were not sure what the commissioner's intent was at that time. There is a state law, at least Tony's and my interpretation of that is that there is a 6-month period before it can be considered by any other municipality. So the 6 months actually is today. And then the question is whether or not what is defined by the word considered for rezoning. I think we would have been on safe ground to argue that it's when the mayor and council takes a vote, but the wide view could be that any consideration of it could be improper. So rather than that, I recommended that we step back 30 days. I talked to Mr. Wilson, who is the attorney for the applicant, and while they would have been happier to go forward, they were understanding, and so that has been placed on the next, and we'll advertise again in the paper.
So has everybody been notified, Planning Commission and the applicant?
The applicant has definitely been I notified the applicant's attorney, since it was yelling across the hallway. And then Jason sent out an email to the Planning Commission members, said it was canceled.
So the only issue is making sure the community knows, so I'll reach out and do that.
That's everything I have.
Okay. Butch, projects?
Sure. I will start with the town center. And to start, I just need to let you know, I picked up this cold at the beach, and I went to get tested immediately when I got back. It came back negative, so no COVID. The rock situation is behind us, thank goodness. We're tallying up all the damages. It's going to be very close to what we had budgeted and projected. I'll have that for you at the end of this week. The regular Kaiser call can continue at Wednesday 9 a.m. and that's going to concern a roundabout discussion. We hope to have an update on Wednesday. We had a call this morning with Larry. If you look at the rendering here, this is the roundabout proposed at Clower and Wisteria. As you know, originally it was called a mini roundabout, but it's anything but mini. It was a 90-foot, smaller than regular proposed roundabout there. The county had the plans for over a year, and they waited until the last few weeks to bring their objections up on that roundabout. So we've been working. Larry asked Wolverton, now CHA, to give us some options. To go, the county would like a 110-foot roundabout, which is standard. We also looked at that. We looked at 105 and we looked at 100. Obviously, we have an encroachment, we're concerned about the police department, we had to maintain the entrance there, it's the only public entrance we have. We were concerned about encroaching on the other side, and this really is the best option of the 5 that were looked at. This is a 105-foot shifted roundabout, and both the county and Midcast are reviewing this, and I felt like, 2 things I could say there. I felt like in the last phone call with Louis Cooksey, that he intimated he had some flexibility in that 110-footer. Here, we will reduce the sidewalk on the north side and to reduce the impact on the proposed development on the north side. And it does not get into the buildings. It just basically impacts their amenities and their landscaping. So I think they'll be flexible, from talking to Roger and Kurt. And we maintain the entrance at the police department, and we don't get into the building on the northwest corner of Phase 1. So I really think this will work. We're waiting on that input. We're going to have a further call on Wednesday morning, and we'll see where we are. Looking at the rest, your third piece, looking at the rest of the town center progress. Phase 1 site work basically complete. They obviously will have to come back for some touch-up with the final pavilion and improvements get decided upon there. We had one change order we're reviewing right now for unsuitable soil removal. So there will be a little update there. The Grove plans, Michael Kidd is working on the stage concept. We have a call at 4:30 where he'll present his first concept of the new pavilion. So I'll send that information out as soon as I get it from Michael.
Which day?
Wednesday.
Wednesday at 4:30. It'll be a Zoom where he'll show us some pictures.
So up to 3 people could be on that call if you want to be on there.
Yep.
I thought Zoom doesn't, unless it's state of emergency, doesn't trigger a quorum.
It would still,
I wouldn't take a chance on
yeah, you'd
that.
still have a problem.
If it's a phone call, if there's a quorum on a phone call, you've got a problem.
No,
Okay.
I think you still have it's an open meetings issue.
Well, I would certainly like to be in on that. We have
Okay.
enough time to advertise if we have to, don't we?
I don't need to be on that. I can wait and get the information.
And Gretchen's out of town.
Yeah, Gretchen's gone.
Okay. Well,
Anybody else?
I would like to be in on that.
It's usually our late meeting day at school on Wednesday, so.
Okay, so it could be you, me, and Barbara, because they can't
It
make
could
it.
be.
Yeah, we'll bring it back to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, everybody will get the information. You just might not get it on that phone call.
That's true.
Yeah, dibs.
The county library, we still have not heard from their legal team as far as the transfer. There is a county pre-con meeting with Reeves Young tomorrow at 1:30, Wednesday at 1:30 at GJAC. I'm gonna find out from Mike Wilborn and that a guy named Shackelford in their attorneys, in their office, Clyde Shackelford. So hopefully they're very close.
Mr. Dickhouse won't be there.
Yeah, ask Brian if he's heard anything.
I'll check it out.
Parking deck progress, full speed ahead schedule. Regular owner, architect, contractor meetings at the trailer every other Thursday. The next one's coming up this August 26th at 2:30. Multifamily residential, work is proceeding. The schedule's being updated. They caught up a lot of the 49-day delay from the rock. They've caught up on some of that. So we'll see where that schedule stands. Excuse me, I apologize. My voice is kind of bad. Stormwater master detention complete. Market design and development. I think I sent an update out that we received from Shannon Dixon. Placemaker and Jamal are working on that. Jamal has sent comments down suggesting some downsizing to the building. Placemaker is looking at that. We should have an update this week.
Yeah, he wants to do 18 instead of 22.
I'm not sure where they're gonna end up, but it's gonna be less than the 23.
Yeah,
So,
I think they said 18 to 19.
but it's working. Jamal had some issues supply issues in Orlando. I think they open this week. And Atlanta is kind of delaying that. If you go by perimeter, you can actually walk in the building and see what he's doing there. They're working, it's going to be really nice. Right-of-way improvements, once we get the roundabout issue, it's ready to go. So I would say they'll be bid early December. Signed ordinance, we still have some discussion in that regard. There's a lot of coordination going on between Creative Sign and the Brian Miller at CPL, working on all the signage for the deck. Sanitary sewer projects on time and on budget. We are pricing the short connection to the Phase 2 property that we'll be selling to Midcast. It's been designed, GWR has now issued the permit, and we're pricing that. So should have an update. I'd say it's probably going to be in the $70,000 to $80,000 range to make that short connection. I will let you guys know about that. Moving on down the project update, human resource issues. Matt Pepper is here today. We're really glad to have him. He comes from Oxford with a stint in Alpharetta, and I think he's going to fit in very, very well. And if I could just make a little introduction at the public meeting, that'd be good also. Good news on the planner. A gentleman named Austin Aldag is starting next Monday. And
What is it about?
Jason has high hopes. So we'll have the old Austin and the new Austin.
So where's Austin coming from?
He's coming from northern New York. Well, actually, he's been in Cornell. And he's moved down here and got a great resume academically. The articles that he's researched, the work that he's done, his local government interest, I think he'll fit in. I introduced Matt today to Gabby, and they're going to be starting on an update of the personnel policy and procedures. We haven't done that in years. We really need to update job descriptions, pay scale, we have good policies within it, whether it's sexual harassment or social media, but we really need to update the whole thing. So you'll be hearing about that. Let's see, the sidewalk improvements, had a call with the county today. And we're going to set up a meeting with somebody in Lewis's office from DOT, plus their Greenway Committee folks. So we just need to go and bring that plan and say, we need your help. And so I will let you know, and I'll do that later in the day, so we can do it, you can get off work and you'll be done with school, so.
I'm not sure I'm gonna work in the next 10 weeks, so.
But we'll get that set up. The county seems
The last 10 weeks.
very interested there. 78-124 landscaping, not a lot of progress there. We did hold a good meeting with Dave, and I think you got an overview of what John is working on. There's gonna be some changes there, I'd say some value engineering. He's got an awful lot of trees and plants, but they're good trees and plants, and DOT, I'm not kind of saving that for the Russell McMurray meeting, but we might need a little help there on that also.
Yeah, I thought there were grown trees behind that fence.
They need to be cut out. They're in the wrong place. But the plan is, when we decide on the budget, when we just see what type of grant we get, there's a corridor entryway grant, beautification grant from DOT that opens up in November. We don't need to be doing any landscaping until January or February anyway for tree planting. So we'll see what the budget looks like and see where we are there. UDO, and you had the alcoholic beverage code discussion a few seconds ago. ARPA funds and uses. I know you guys went to one or two meetings, I guess, down there. I don't know if Becky Taylor was the person presenting for GMA. She's my contact.
Is she the one who was talking so fast, she sounded
Yeah.
like a FedEx
Yeah.
commercial?
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So much information.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a lot of check this link for this, check this link, check this link, check this link.
Yeah.
It was letting us know where to go find it and get more.
And there's
The
still
info.
gonna be updates.
we have
Yeah,
a city,
nothing's final.
yeah, we have a city manager listserv. Matt knows as well as I do. It's confusing to everybody, you know. I mean, Treasury has not been clear on things. So I mentioned to Becky, I said, look, we need to come and sit down with you. I mean, it's just clear as mud right now. So, and I know, I think they gave the advice, well, don't worry about spending real fast. Well,
Yes.
we need to be budgeting and
Yeah,
planning.
we need to plan,
So,
especially if we're gonna do
I
some
don't-
sidewalks and things and.
I don't like that advice, you know, take your time. We need to keep moving.
Well, and the other thing that she said was that to not allocate our funds to create any programs that are already being offered out there. So, you know, rental assistance, utility assistance, food security, all of those issues. The county has programs already established, and DCA also presented at that meeting, and DCA said, send them to us, don't spend your money here, we have the money, send them to us.
Did you get
So-
the email from Michael McPherson? Because he's got some
Yes,
Yeah.
Today, yep.
ARPA information in there. It may be redundant.
yeah, I'm guessing
Yeah,
it's the same.
It's all a summary of the meeting
If
with
we-
some of the questions.
If we have any concerns when we get down to our list that it's gray or unknown, our state representative has a direct line to our congressperson, and she will run it up the flagpole and make sure we get that cleared up.
Good. Briscoe Park Master Plan update, we're still working on a public outreach plan and compilation of those issues. I have not been in touch with GMC this week. Tax billing, we're on track. We reviewed a lot of the language that will go out in the bills today. Melissa, you don't see any obstacles to getting them out on September 15th?
That's what I'm aware of.
And I don't know if y'all are getting questions or not. We've put
Yeah.
some information out there.
I saw some information, or some questions, confusion on Facebook, and I did respond on there. Because somebody was like, they noticed the city taxes weren't on there, but they didn't know what was going on, so.
Well, if they read all, it's actually, the tax commissioner actually put some pretty good information out. I live in Grayson. She didn't mention Grayson. Grayson is a different issue. But it did say, contact Snellville, Lilburn, the other cities that are billing, so.
And we created a page on our website.
Yeah.
Did, so the county property tax bill, do y'all think it was supposed to be pink and purple, or do you think they ran out of ink, so it came out a pale purple?
They,
No, it's the new rainbow.
Just the new one, yeah, that's what I.
Mine's like a
Oh.
light
I
purple.
like that.
Mine's purple.
Mine's normal.
blue.
I think
It's
so.
been blue. Fine.
Yeah, I didn't, when you said that.
Yeah, mine were pink and purple.
Yeah, mine was.
Mine was pink and purple, yeah.
And my homestead exemption dropped off.
Yeah, mine too.
What?
That's odd.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't have
You have to reapply?
No, the city homestead exemption will show up on our.
Right, but
Oh,
we have a
okay.
county homestead exemption on the portion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you call
Mine
this
was
before,
with
yeah.
peanuts.
Mine's there.
Chuck may have to,
I'll have to
File
look.
Of course, mine's on the wrong paper.
Let me double
apparently,
check.
Well, it's interesting to me that they have that VOE, value offset. I mean, it's like, I don't know if they look at every bill individually and say, we're gonna give them a little extra, we're gonna give them. Mine changes every year.
Yeah, yeah.
And, and it went up this year. I don't know if they're afraid, I have no idea. It's really, I've never seen that in any other county.
They don't have any idea either.
I don't know. I guess it's an anti-annexation tool. But annexation is also going to be an assignment for Matt. Roy Whitehead has started the review, and we'll schedule a meeting sometime in the next week and get Matt and the new planner, because Austin Shelton was very helpful, and Austin Aldag will be very helpful GIS-wise. So Roy's already started talking to a lot of people on West 78, and we're identifying East 78 properties. So putting a good spreadsheet together. And I guess we heard from our nuisance issues, QOL issues from Chuck, and that's about all I have.
The one I'd add to that, I did mention at our meeting, at Quality of Life Court last week, the builders that had all the runoff over onto Pinehurst, they had 4 tickets, and we assessed them $2,500 in fines.
So, hopeful.
Okay, anything else on projects? All right, Dave, new website design review?
Yes, we have, and I'm not sure exactly where this is, because that was being handled by Eric, but we have, with our contract, we have regular updates, and I just like to get everybody's input on what you like, what you don't like, what needs to be changed.
Well, earlier, when we started this process earlier on, I sent out an email to y'all and asked you to do that, so unless there's anything that's changed since then, let me know. This new update, we are training on it's still got some stuff to work out, but we're training next week, so the people who actually input from each department are going to go through a crash course of training with people from VC3, and when that's done, we're going to ask them to make some changes as they see fit, and then we're going to send it back to you guys to take a look at, and then we'll flip the switch. So it'll be a pretty transition, a seamless transition, hopefully, as, 5 years ago when we started, it was more about bells and whistles and making it slide and all that stuff. Now, as people have become more accustomed to, the web design has really come down to just the information. The bells and whistles we're going to kind of try to cut and add more access points like you guys have talked about. Instead of clicking 3 spaces, we're going to try to give them more buttons right on the front to go to individual departments and individual places.
Yeah, but I think that the important thing is to get what you think and what you think are a little bit too cumbersome now. Because everybody's gonna have a different, I go look at this, you go look at that. And just have some points there to say, we need to be able to get to agendas here. Or we need to be able to look at schedules there, so that it's a lot easier. It comes up quicker.
Is there going to be a beta that's...
That's what we're going to end up doing when we're training. We're going to get input from the people who are actually on the website doing and then when that is complete, we'll make those changes, then give it to you guys to get a look at. And, with the beta test. So you'll have a mock website to go before it goes live to look at and mess with.
Right, it's just hard to even remember what was going on back in
Yes,
December
so
and January.
please, if you guys want to take another look, take a look now and give us another list, because now's the time to do it before we get it out to the people.
Okay.
Yeah, my thing is just finding zoning. Planning and zoning cases are hard to get to. And then when you click a link to pull up like the concept plan, you have to hit the browser back button. If you close it, you're closing down the whole website and you gotta start all over again.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not like, it doesn't open in like a PDF document or something. It opens almost in another window, but the only way to get back is to use your browser back, and if you forget.
And that's, let me write this, so that's for
That's under planning and zoning,
You should
because,
probably have it come up with a different window, so when you close that window, that's the only thing that closes.
so it's like when you have a zoning case, there's the
All the documents.
application, there's a list of all the documents, and each one is a separate link.
Yes.
So you can't scroll through all of them. You have to click on one, read it, then close it by going back, and then click on the next one and then click on,
So you're saying if you exit, close it,
You're
you're going back to the main page?
you're actually closing the website.
Oh,
You're
okay.
closing your browser.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's a lot of content
It
there.
doesn't
Yeah.
open in a separate pop-up or anything.
And the county is even worse. But,
No, that-
that's,
Yeah, that's no excuse to not
We'll
make
look at
hours
that.
easy.
We'll look at
Oh, but the county's worse, so we're okay.
Well, they have 200 cases, so,
but it's trying to, you have to go through the whole agenda.
yeah, that is horrible.
Yeah, so anyone who wants to take a look, please do and get back
Yes.
to us as soon as you can, and we'll incorporate that.
And Greg, that goes, for if you see anything that you think needs to be incorporated over there,
We'll do.
we need your input as well.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
have a page on cracked windshields, that could be.
I think just one on crack.
And I need to circle back to projects, to talk about artworks for just a second. I'm counting that under ongoing projects. We had the meeting, I think Todd and Christie weren't there. I thought it was a good meeting explanation of what they're trying to do. Essentially, they've gotten $125,000, the Artworks organization has gotten $125,000 contribution from Gwinnett County. And then they're asking each of the cities to put in, most of the cities, 10,000, it goes on population. The smaller cities, Grayson, Berkeley Lake, they're asking 2,500. They've asked, quite a few have already responded yes. Some are thinking so far the only no or no response at all is Lilburn. But essentially, and then they've got a list of corporate sponsors who have already committed money. And then all the CIDs are kicking in $5,000 each. They will go out, they're waiting to see kind of what they generate through this initial stakeholder ask. And then they'll go out to a broader campaign to request more funds if needed, but they're looking to do essentially what we were gonna do here in the city, they're looking to do for the entire county. So they haven't selected the vendor. Anyone who's contributing will be on the stakeholder committee to help make those decisions about who the vendor would be. They're finishing up the RFP that they're gonna put out. They're expecting that to run about $250,000 to $300,000. They'll do an assessment of all of the different assets in the county existing now. So they'll look for everything. Art communities, individuals, organizations, anybody doing anything related to any of the arts they're trying to do a survey to put all of that together. And then from there, they'll develop a countywide plan on how to encourage, develop best practices for making a stronger arts community. And then they'll come up with policies and goals of, how to bring together a lot of these different art resources that are here, what are we missing? And then also be looking at like the different cities and stakeholders about, like in Snellville, what's kind of your niche and what can we expand on there. So that's essentially what they're doing and trying to accomplish. So again, we're in that city realm where they're asking for 10,000. And it would be for the participation in the plan and in the process of the planning.
And one of the things they're looking at is how arts can generate economic
Economic,
activity.
it's an economic development tool
Yeah.
is what they're doing.
Not just for pretty pictures and
Right.
ornament gigs, but.
So the vendor hasn't been chosen, so we don't know who will be doing it.
Right,
And we aren't gonna get a Snellville report, we're gonna get a county report.
correct.
What would be the advantage of doing this over doing our own? It just seems to me that if we use the money locally on our own particular interests, we know who we are. already. I'm a little bit leery about an outsider telling me, here's what's best for Snellville. I'm uncomfortable with how well they're gonna know our community.
When you're going through a process like this, there's typically a steering committee that is formed. And it would be very incumbent upon us to have someone on that steering committee that is going to be engaged and voicing South Gwinnett, Snellville, to make sure that we're included. It's the same thing with participating with the Gwinnett County Unified Development Plan. We have stakeholder people that sit on that committee. We have a representative from Gwinnett Municipal Association to represent cities, and it's that person that's there to help make sure that the cities are represented in the countywide plan. To me, I think it's gonna run, Dave and I, Swanee's done one, we know Swanee's done one, and Duluth has done one. We
Yeah.
talked with Nancy, theirs cost $30,000 to do their plan. And it's a great plan. I'm thinking, I don't know this yet, and we probably won't know until a vendor's selected and we can talk to them. Our contribution to the plan is $10,000 is what they're asking to go into this one. I'm thinking we could probably talk with that contractor, that consultant, once the countywide plan is done. They've already done the market, they know everything that's around, they know what's in Snellville. We could probably engage them for less money than it would cost us to do one all
I
alone.
kinda got the impression we're gonna get some Snellville-specific recommendations based on how it
Maybe.
interfaces with.
Well, but a lot of the policies and a lot of the best practice stuff will be things we can adopt for Snellville. So, you know, but I think what we get out of it is knowing too what's all across the county, which of course we would get by being able to read the report later on when it's done, but we hadn't contributed to it. You know, we weren't able to make sure that we were really well represented if we're not participating, but we could certainly read it when they finished. And then, you know, try to do something from there, but you're already working with somebody who knows, they've already done the assessments, they've done the market studies, they've done the economic development work on it. Is that we did the same thing with, who is it that Partnership Gwinnett was, Market Street?
Market Street.
Did economic development for Partnership Gwinnett. We hired Market Street to do work for just Snellville. And it was cheaper than us going out and hiring another vendor that hadn't done any of the work to have to do all of that work again, because Market Street already had the Gwinnett data.
Yeah.
So they were able to just look at Snellville,
And they
and it was a lot cheaper.
get the
to do that.
halo of everything around us rather than stopping at a corporate border. What's the time frame, and where's the funding coming from?
Well, that's where the funding's coming from, I went through that. County,
No,
125,000.
from our budget.
Oh, from our budget,
Where are
we-
we splitting the money off from?
We have $30,000 in the hotel motel.
Okay.
That was the 10% that the city was carving off. So there's 30 grand sitting in there for that.
And I made a strong point with them that Snellville and South Gwinnett are usually just a stepchild.
Yeah,
He said it.
we are not the leftovers of
And
Gwinnett
I
County.
made that point, so
That's-
that's a double-edged sword too,
Okay.
because if we don't participate, then they say,
Then
Well,
we
that's
can
Then we
do
are,
that.
yes.
So time frame. When are they projecting to start, and when are they projecting having work product?
We didn't ask that question
I don't think they know until
specifically.
they find out how much money they've got.
And how long it's
They
gonna
don't have
take
a
them to
consultant,
raise.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
Chuck, contractually,
We're,
what are your issues?
well, 'cause I had huge, concerns going in, but, we would have a contract with them, they provide an invoice for services. Initially, it looked like they were asking for a donation, that's when I had a huge problem, because we can't
Okay.
do that. But if we can get a tangible service, which in this case, we would be receiving a tangible service, then legally we'd be okay with that.
With that information, I believe I would be a yes.
What company did the Duluth and Swanee? plan, does anybody know?
I don't
We'd
know.
have to look, I know it's on their website.
It's been a
I
while.
think.
It's
too.
yeah, it's been, so.
Well, that's why Duluth is kicking in, because they want to do a little bit of an upgrade to what they have, you know, a little fine tuning, and they're kicking in.
Yeah,
Personally, I think it's a no-brainer because in the overall scheme of things, we're gonna get $10,000 worth, one way or another. So if, it would cost us more than, to get what we're gonna get for 10 would cost us more.
So I'm thinking, even if it costs us another 10 to get that same firm to do some specific Snellville, you know, maybe some marketing brochures, you know, some kind of nice kind of thing to be able to give to developers or to raise money from. You know, I'm thinking that's still gonna be less than 30 grand all in.
Well, and one of the big issues to me is if we do a Snellville-specific plan, we hire somebody for Snellville, by our charter, they're gonna have to stay Snellville.
Right.
And they're not gonna
And
be
go
able to
greater.
go out to Centerville, they're not gonna be able to
Well,
get some of the things that are in our Halo
Yeah.
area. So
Yeah.
being part of the bigger
point.
package gives us
More leeway to do.
the actual sphere of influence of Snellville, which we would not be able to get if we did it
Yeah.
individually, so.
yeah, that's a good point.
Well, and it, you know, because it's one of those things where you think about, this isn't, it doesn't stop at our city limits. You know, this is the arts, and we want, like, we've got the Snellville Performing Arts Group. We've got them, we've got, Deborah at, Deborah
Yeah,
Krebs
Cobblestone.
at Cobblestone Creek. You know, she's been doing art lessons. Maybe that exposure, that list that she's in that inventory, maybe some of her better art students get
She has some
selected.
amazing students.
She's, you know, and get tied in with Hudgens Art Center. You know, so you've got all, or something else that no one even knows about that exists, that's gonna come up out of the
School of
survey.
Rock, are they still here?
School of Rock is still here for music. So we get these connections all over, you know, the county, and this is one of those things where it's regional. Arts is not gonna stay specific to us. We need to do things that are gonna raise our vote, but this is gonna be regional, because you start looking at it, and Lawrenceville has the Aurora Theater. It's good and it's successful, and they've got great shows, and they've got a lot of support. Do we really want to spend that kind of money to have that same type of theater here, where we're in direct competition, versus, okay, well, let's just encourage everybody to support that, and then we'll do something different, kind
Maybe
of
it'll help us designate.
figure out
our
what that
niche
is.
should be.
I think that's the biggest thing. We need to find that niche.
Yeah.
But I just think if we don't participate,
Yeah.
we're,
And you know, we could sell Dorothy and use that to raise
there you
money.
go.
Does anybody know what reservations Lilburn had, or did they just not?
They just hadn't responded, I think is what
Yeah.
Linnea said. They just hadn't heard, most other cities had either called or asked for a meeting like we did, and they just hadn't heard a peep out of Lilburn, so I think they were gonna follow back up with them and see.
We figured just because it's a little bit.
Kind of the 29 highway dead zone there.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up project. Just a couple other reminders. One, is Craig still down there? I want to thank Craig for the fast work of the Public Works Department, putting up, working with PD and DOT on those speed limit signs. We're back up red speed wise. GDOT had, you know, they must have gotten confused about our conversations on speed limit signs, and also getting the tree down very quickly out there. We just made Don Britt in the private sector look terrible. So public sector got out there. Good job there. And Austin Saunders, I think everybody got the email about the work he had done on the drug squad.
Well, Cynthia, I don't know if you.
No, I didn't.
I don't.
Oh, let's send that to everybody. It was in Duluth. Duluth is gonna get the benefit, I guess, but the county gets the benefit.
Yeah, we actually basically attached to the seizure.
Yeah.
But he, with the HSI and Homeland Security, they seized 200 kilos of methamphetamine
Wow.
and about a little bit less than 50,000 cash.
Wow.
So-
I was wondering why the
But it
price
was-
went up.
It was linked to, Hall County is where the article was linked to. That's where the investigation started, but they actually got all the drugs in the loop. So, really big.
Okay.
Don't think,
And then we have one more item for Solange, streetlights.
Yes. Okay, so we've heard a lot about the streetlights. I'm sure Gretchen spoke about them. And of course, Ms. Rollins. I went on the Facebook Strong and I got a list. I don't know if this whole list is totally updated, but I've counted like about maybe 88, 87, 88 lights. It's a lot of lights, you know? And I drove a few of, I didn't go to all of them, but I did drive around. And some of the neighborhoods are really dark. Some of the main roads, parts of it, is really dark. And I'm concerned about it, you know? I'm looking at it also, thinking about the police officers, okay? If they're out there, you want the city to be well lit, okay? With crime, if something happens, you want them to stay safe, you know? So I'm concerned about it. I'm concerned with the dark pockets that I see. I even drove going towards Timberline on Summer Chase Drive. When I looked going into Timberline, it's nothing but a black hole. And I said, why is it so dark? So I went in there, you have the lake on the left side, and I'm like, holy
Yeah,
cow.
it's a little
If somebody veers off, they'll go in that lake. If they don't know where they're going. You have to know, you know, unless you live there. But I also noticed that there were no light poles there, like.
There, well,
Yes, there, but.
on Timberline
I don't remember
though, we've had this discussion though.
Okay.
On the dam, we're not adding any lights or electricity.
I don't want that, I'm simply saying,
Okay.
the darkness.
Yes.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna, and I'm not gonna.
Because we don't want to put any more utilities on that dam.
No, I was just making a point
Yeah,
of
yeah,
how
yeah.
dark it can get.
Yeah.
On some of the roads, you
Yeah.
know. I even turned my lights off, just to see how dark it gets if I drive, and it's really, really dark on some of these. So the question is, I know that, well, Walton EMC services, of course, right?
Yeah.
How many, is there like a limit? Not a limit, but like, how many do they, what is the negotiation you have with them concerning?
We just,
street lights?
they got copies of the list.
Okay.
I follow up with Kelvin Smith, our engineer, and he goes through their streetlight replacement. And I have twice now taken Tricia's list and driven around like you, and to see what the EMC has gotten to. And yeah, they're slow.
Yeah,
But
it's
they
super slow.
eventually get there.
Yeah.
And all we can do is just request and, you know, for traffic safety, public safety reasons, just try to push them. There's no limit. I mean,
There's-
you know, we pay for them.
I don't know
We
how
used
it
to,
works,
well-
Because like we pay taxes, right? And we pay Walton EMC, don't we pay from our taxes, and that's the issue now, it's like, okay, because I pay taxes, I live in the city. So I have two lights
Yeah.
out in my neighborhood, but anyway.
Yeah.
So, is there a way, I mean, can we get, I don't know the manpower that they have.
They're not, so we used to work with Scott Walker, with Walton EMC, was always our go-to guy, and he's passed away.
Yeah.
And we don't really have that new go-to guy, and we need to
Nope.
find out who that is. But even when we give, because we talked to him, you know, the last big list that we had, we talked to him, and as much as he even tries to push them, they only go out and do those when they don't have other line work to do. So it's a when they get to it situation, and I don't know if we can change that, but we could
What
try.
about if we withhold some of the money that we pay them?
If we don't pay our electric bill?
Yeah. We can't do that.
I mean, they withhold
But
some
that's
of
it.
it.
I
mean,
don't know.
Everything, and, you know.
Because they might turn off the rest of the lights.
And they're replacing lights with LEDs now, which
Yes,
cost
I
us a little
noticed
bit
that.
more, and we've encouraged
I
them.
noticed that.
I mean, it's a revenue stream for them, it's just not big enough to be high on their priority list.
well,
I mean, we know from their work on all our projects, they like providing electricity to businesses and, but they don't like projects. They
Right.
don't like special projects.
well, why don't, we're heading into the period of our year where
It's darker early.
it gets darker earlier, but also the weather until the weather really starts to change, they should go through a lull as far as tree damage, power outages,
That's what I'm-
that sort of
yeah.
stuff. So maybe
And maybe
we
put
can
a
get
push
together
behind it and
and
say,
go
hey,
over to
you know,
Walton
yeah.
UMC and
And to have
introduce
a-
ourselves and say,
Talk to them.
we really have an issue.
Conversation.
So I'll be
Because
happy
there's a lot
to,
of lies.
yeah.
We could maybe check
Yeah.
with
Phil's our go-to guy.
Phil.
Weatherby, so
Phil what?
we'll see him.
Weatherman?
I'm not
Oh,
going,
you're not gonna go?
yeah.
Okay, his name is Phil what?
Oh, yeah, okay, I remember, we met him, Phil Weatherby.
I'll send you his contact information.
Weatherby. Weatherby.
Because they're not over here, like Phil's office, he works out of the
Monroe,
Walton County one.
yeah.
So, what's her name, Ashley is over here, but she would still send things over to Phil. Because when Scott passed, it was kind of one of those things, Scott did everything, but really nobody could fine tune what, all the areas he touched on.
Right.
But Phil would be the guy to send.
Yeah. Solange, did you have have you been having problems with power in your neighborhood?
Yes,
Goes up sporadically.
Yeah.
ours has gone off 3 out of 5 days, it's gone off in the afternoon for 30
And
minutes.
I'll tell you what, guess what, I couldn't get in my house.
Yeah.
Because I walked out from the inside, I didn't have key from the back, the front, my glass door was locked, and my garage wouldn't go up. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean,
I said
this
that for a
past
little
week,
bit,
3
but-
times in the afternoon,
Yeah,
it
just
just
goes
shuts
off.
off
It
for
just goes off.
30
Had nothing to
minutes.
do with the weather.
Nothing.
If you
I don't
want,
know if they're
you buy
trying to-
the
if they're doing
over
service work
Home
or
Depot and
something.
Lowe's both have ones that have batteries on them.
I mean, maybe demand, maybe they
It
have
goes
a little
slow, and
round
it'll still go up there.
That's-
yeah, you know,
It's
it's my little-
3 times, I
my little
can't-
talk, my little,
I think it was last Wednesday,
I can go ahead and put a
maybe
code.
Friday.
I don't remember what my code
Send me
is,
those
but my
times,
mom
I'll ask
said-
Kelvin, Kelvin's their engineer.
And I think
Today it went off
That
about
won't make any
3:30.
difference if the power's off and they don't have a battery.
Yeah, if you don't have electricity, you don't have electricity.
Yeah.
Okay, we are at 7:30, so is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
My
And a
mom's
second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, as quick as you can get in there, 7:32.
But I